I swear, as soon as the temperature shifts, I just wake up and my throat's dry as a bone.
As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me...
Ladies and gentlemen, the next President of the United States.
My good friends, pull up a log. I'd like to speak with you for a few minutes about the importance of staying in one's own lane. Recently, during a trip to Baltimore, the following incident occurred. I believe we have a clip. Our first clip for the campfire. Yes? Could you bring me the cassette recorder?
ISIS? Your press secretary came in here and said not to ask questions about ISIS. Is there a reason that you don't want to talk about ISIS?
All right, what about ISIS, guys? How often are these people talking about the issues that we talked about today? Of course I'll talk about ISIS. But today what we're talking about is a community in which half of the people don't have jobs. We're talking about a community in which there are hundreds of buildings that are uninhabitable. We're talking about a community where kids are unable to go to schools that are decent. You want to ask me about ISIS? We will talk about ISIS.
Now, I was in Baltimore to meet with community leaders and observe the ways in which poverty has affected the area. Perhaps I'm making a concentrated effort to learn about the area, so when I talk about Baltimore, I'm not describing it like it's an episode of The Wire, like some of my opponents in the presidential race. When I was a child, I attended my cousin's bat mitzvah. This may seem like a tangent, but I assure you, it is going somewhere important. I attended my cousin's bat mitzvah, and while I was there, I gained knowledge that my aunt would soon be having another child, which led me to wonder where babies came from. Needless to say, I asked my aunt, I asked my mother, and I asked my rabbi. All three taught me a lesson that day, that there is a time and a place for everything. And in this case, the intricacies of human reproduction was deemed unfit for large social gatherings. Similarly, ISIS was not a fitting topic for the event at which I was speaking. Recently, we've seen a light shown on ISIS on a daily basis, and you'd think by paying this much attention to it that we might be able to find where their base of operations are located. But that's besides the point. My point is, I'm willing to talk about ISIS any damn day of the week. But every now and then, I like to talk about the issues that aren't being covered by 99% of the news cycle. Perhaps I want to talk about the poverty in Baltimore City, something that apparently isn't even being covered by the local media, because they'd rather ask me questions about ISIS. Sometimes I would like to get up and speak about the brutality shown to lemmings in the documentary, which created the belief that they follow each other off cliffs, but that is in fact not a true fact about lemmings, but something that was fabricated for a documentary. You can look it up. It's a horrifying, horrifying truth that involves both the Disney Corporation and the filmmakers. I'm more than willing to speak my mind on the big issues. I do it every day. I have maintained consistency in the fact that I will say whatever I'm thinking when it comes to my mind, and it will come off a lot better than whatever's coming out of Donald Trump's mouth. In addition to this, I'm willing to answer literally any questions you may have for me. That is why I encourage listeners to write in to BerniesCampfire@gmail.com, but so far, the only questions I've been asked are pertaining to my bank routing number. A question I don't mind from my bank or employer, but otherwise another great example of swerving out of one's own lane. Now, if you really are starved for conversation on ISIS, I will note that this past week I appeared on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon because I know what my viewing audience and what my fans like to see, and it's me intermingling with some of their favorite late-night people. While I was there, I said that the American people will not stand for Donald Trump's crap anymore, proving, once again, that I am the only reasonable presidential candidate who is not afraid to use vulgar language on a late-night talk show, no less during a presidential debate. Here are a few other words I am not afraid to use on camera. Hell, piss, weasel wiener, and butt crack. If I am using the colloquialism correctly, I'm not afraid to spit fire, but if I do, know that you will feel the burn.